Now let's look a little deeper into your hydronic heating system, the most common error codes and how to troubleshoot them, and the different options that you have with the settings. If the temperature reading of the thermostat of your hydronic system is not what you feel like it is inside your van, because the thermostat is inside a window box and it can get either cooler or warmer there, meaning that the temperature that you will see on the hydronic system will not reflect the actual temperature inside the van. The temperature is different depending on if you are in bed or in the front of the van. You can change the temperature by going into the settings, going to the temperature shift page, and adjust the temperature. You can offset it like one way or another depending on what you feel like the temperature inside your van is. Another thing to know is that you can change the fan speed. Most of the time people leave the van speed into an automatic mode. But let's say that you wanted the system to be very quiet during the night to help you sleep. You could put the fan into manual mode and select a specific speed to make more or less noise. Another question that I get often is, what is this little symbol on the top left? Well, you don't really need to use it because when the system is warm, you will have both hot water and hot air. But if you were to click on that button, you would prioritize the water for 30 minutes or an hour depending on the settings, meaning that you will have less air coming out of the vent and more hot water. It's usually not really necessary, but this is what this button is for. Your hydronic system is a very good system, and it's a tankless system, meaning that when it's hot, it will provide hot water until you run out of water. And it runs on the fuel tank of the vehicle. So it is the top of the line system that exists for van life. But what you need to know is the way it works, that it's warming up a glycol tank that will warm up both the air and the water. The more you use the water in a shower, for example, the lower the temperature is gonna get. As soon as you stop the water to wash your hair, for example, you give it a few seconds, the system is gonna warm up the water again. But the more you use the water, the less hot it is. Another thing to know, if the water at your sink, in your faucet or in your shower is not hot enough, you have a mixing valve in the back that you can adjust to make the water more or less hot. Just know, I will show you where it is, but just know that you should not set it up to any extreme. It needs to be towards the cold or towards the hot, but it doesn't have to go to an extreme because the water does need to mix. If you decide to use your heater but not on gas and electric, first you need to know that it is a lot more powerful to use the furnace, so the burner, than to use electric. So it is recommended to use the burner to warm up the system and then turn the electric on. But if you want it, this is the burner, this is to turn the system on electric. If you want it to turn on the system on electric, you do need to turn on the AC circuits of your van. Turn on AC power. You need to be connected to shore power to have an input that will be at least as high as the output of the heating system. After the output is on, you can turn on your Timberline system on electric. Quickly, you will see that the draw becomes really important, which is why you need to be connected to shore power, otherwise you will kill your battery in simply a few hours. Here you can see that the draw is above 1.5 kilowatt, meaning that the heater is working on electric. That's the best way to make sure that the system is working on electric, looking at the draw. Another thing that's important, clients wanted to put their van away for a few days, but it was freezing outside. So they left the heater on the burner, so on this button, but before leaving, they turned off the DC power to save battery in the van. Well, even though your heater does work on the fuel tank, the monitor runs on DC power. If you turn off the DC circuits, your heater will turn off and your van is in danger of freezing if it's cold outside. Now, for the most common error that you get from the Timberline system. You start the heater, so you start this button to start the burner. It is going to take around 15 minutes to warm up if fuels are in the lines. But it is possible that the fuel is not in the line because you haven't used the system for too long, or because of the shaking of driving, the fuel got back in the gas tank. You will get an error code called flame break. Don't worry about this, it just means that the system is unprimed. When you see that code, just click again on that button to restart it again. The fuel will go in the lines again and will start to ignite the burner. If you get that error code again, do the same process. It can take 2, 3, or 4 times for the fuel to get to the burner and for the burner to actually start. Do not think that there's a problem with the burner, it is just a fuel issue. Another common problem that you might have is overheating. So if you get the overheating error code, it will turn off the heater. Overheating 90% of the time means that there is a bubble in the line somewhere. One of the main ways to fix that problem, in the settings, go to the page that gives you the option to override the pump here. Click on pump override 10 minutes. For the next 10 minutes, the pump is gonna run. You need to leave it for 10 minutes. Do not touch the electrical system. Do not try to start or do not try to shut off the electrical system. Do not try to touch anything else at the pump. You need to leave it for 10 minutes. Once the 10 minutes have passed on pump override, you will hear the pump stop and you will be back on the main page. On that main page, you can start the heater. If you get the error code again, overheat, you can do it again. Go in the settings, go in pump override, 10 minutes, just click on it and wait until the 10 minutes are passed. You will go back on that main screen and start the heater again. If you get the error code ignition fail, well, exactly like flame break, most of the time it means that the fuel didn't get to the burner and that the ignition didn't start. It is the same thing. Start the heater up to 4 times if you need to make sure that the fuel gets to the burner and start properly. Your burner was simply deprimed.